Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is HowFast. Today we're going to climb into the back of Dodgey and we're going to pull out that 9-inch Ford pumpkin and check it for any real signs of wear. Assuming it's in good shape, we could probably just throw some lube on it, clean it up, maybe even throw a coat of paint on it and throw it back in and get a measurement for the length of our drive shaft. So that's an important time. But before we do that, I wanted to give a shout out to one of our HowFast family members. You may remember this girl. Her name is Searson. She's a young dragster pilot. And she has sent us in a couple pictures of herself wearing one of our HowFast shirts. And here's a couple pictures of her dragster and a little bit of information on it. And her best ET is a 859, 151 miles an hour. Guys, super fast. Very cool to be able to, to have those kind of bragging rights. One day, hopefully one day, I'll be able to say the same. But big shout out to Amber. So Amber, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate all your views and all your comments. So before we get underneath Dodgey and before we pull that pumpkin out, I'm going to climb up the ladder here and we're going to go up into our bin of parts and we're going to pull some parts out and we're going to talk about what's got to happen here in the engine bay in the upcoming months. So I'll get started with that. But first I'm going to get changed into something a little more shop worthy. I'll catch up with you guys in a minute. I still really got to paint this wall. This bugs me. I'm not a Rangers fan by any means. It's just I haven't gotten around to painting it. Alright guys, inside these boxes are a couple things. Our manifolds. Intake and exhaust. We'll get to those in a minute. Our intake. Now this is a standard truck manifold. These are a dime a dozen. And they're great for low end torque. And I think pretty good for the application we're going for. They've proven that they can handle boost. So why mess with it? It is ugly though. Now I'm not sure if any of you have ever seen these when they get shaved, and what I mean by that is I've seen people will take these and just cut off all of the unnecessary plastic junk and they grind it and then sand it and it becomes this thing of beauty. In fact, you know what? I'll put a picture of one right here. And look at that. That looks so good. Look how smooth and oh, that could look so good. On this could, I mean, I'm not a professional at doing that by any means. And I mean, I could seriously mess it up by going too deep. But like, that could look really good. Maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't. Okay, but I have that up. And I thought it would be kind of fun to set it up in there and see where we would sit with the clearance and just kind of what it would look like sitting on the engine. Why don't I put up the GoPro and I'll set that thing up there. Look at how big that thing is. You almost forget how big it is as far as like the roof line or the hood line goes, but I don't really think that's going to matter considering where our turbo is going to hopefully live. Hopefully. We'll see. But that looks really good. For the sake of ease, I was thinking we'd go with just an electric water pump. You can get them aftermarket ones pretty cheap, on Kijiji or wherever. So I'm going to keep my eyes open for an electric water pump. And now we need to talk about the exhaust. Here is the stock cast exhaust manifold with the old heat shield on it. There's a couple things that we need to consider about this engine and how the exhaust is going to be run. As you guys know, we plan on doing a big turbo on this, but the question is, how do we run the exhaust and how do we get it to the turbo? Where's the turbo going to be? In my mind, I've always envisioned the turbo being mounted somewhere up here, not dissimilar to what you see on Cletus McFarlane's Corvette Ruby. So in doing that, we have a couple options what we can do. We could run the stock, I believe we can run the stock exhaust up and forward like this. Now that's a tight fit there, not ideal, but probably not impossible. The other option would be that we run the exhaust down and do a crossover pipe to a log manifold on the passenger side. In my mind, that feels like the best way to go about this. That would require me to make a couple more cuts down here. I'd have to get rid of some more of these. You remember these pieces of steel that are down here from the engine mount video a couple of weeks ago there. I'd have to hack some of those out to get this exhaust, or whatever exhaust I end up running, to clear around underneath the oil pan and then join up with a log manifold here, which we can then build our turbo, off of. I think that's ideally what I'd like to see, but to do that, I could scab together this piece and some, eBay crossover pipe and then some cheap eBay log manifold, but I'd really rather not do that. I'd rather pair up with an up-and-coming company, someone who has quality on their mind forefront, and someone who's going to produce power and efficiency. There's a couple companies I've had my eye on, but one in particular has kind of stood out. There's a company called Fahler Speed and Performance, and you guys can find them on Instagram under that name. They make log manifolds and exhaust manifolds, but it seems like these guys are high on quality and budget friendly, and they're up and coming, and I like the look of what they're doing. So guys over there at Fahler, if you're interested in helping out a small YouTube channel, please get in touch with me. And I'd love to talk to you guys about ideas about what you think would work best for this, because maybe what I'm thinking isn't the right deal, because this exhaust going up and out over here certainly be easier. I don't have to hack out any steel, but is that the most efficient? Is that going to be the easiest in the long run? I would love a professional opinion. So if you guys get this, if you see it, please write to me, let me know. You can get me at howfast10@gmail.com, or you can get me on Facebook at howfast. So let's take a look at that rear end right now.
Oh, spider webs. Oh, man, that's a whole nest right there, all up in my face. Yummy. Piece of cardboard. Poor man's creeper. Feeling weak. Oh, crush my fingers. Oh. You guys okay? Whew. Damn.
Okay guys, here is our rear gear for our Ford 9-inch. Now, you have to remember, this was originally used for a CAS car, like NASCAR circle track, and maybe some road racing at some times. I don't know exactly what gear is in this, and I'm going to do a little bit of inspecting here, and then if there's no markings that tell me and I can't figure it out for myself, I believe there is a way we can figure it out just by placing a mark on the ring gear and then on the pinion and spinning it and counting. We can get a rough idea of what gear is in this right now. A couple rear ends in my day, and there's supposed to be a little bit of play in here. This might be just a little bit much. Anyway, that that concerns me less than right here. So on the inside of the ring gear, and I'll give this a little spin. I don't know if you guys can see right here. You see these like lighter portions here? So there's some kind of like uneven wear on the ring gear here. So that tells me that this gear is not aligned in this rear housing perfectly. It's a little out. And there's another way we can tell, actually, just by that sound we were hearing, right? So here you can see when I have this part here where it's obviously rubbing and exposed, I'll pull the yoke back and forth. Listen, nothing, right? But if we keep going and we go around, aha. Right? So at this point here, there's a little play between this gear and the ring gear. Okay, so I'd marked out where I put a mark on the ring gear and on the pinion, but as I was flipping these around, I counted out, I think it was 39 teeth. But I started looking in at the pinion, and I'm not sure if you guys can see down there. It's a long way down. It's pretty dark, but there's definitely a big chunk missing out of that pinion gear down there. And it's okay. Really, it's okay, because to be honest, this gear was used for running a circle track car. So probably a really tall gear, not ideal for what we're looking for. So we want to get like a 373 or like a 410, I think it is, for a Ford. So I'm going to look for a ring and pinion gear set here, and then we'll swap it in. Also, I noticed this is not locked down all the way, so that's probably why we were getting that little bit of play in there, aside from the huge chunk of metal missing from that gear. So this is something I'll put some feelers out online and see if I can find a gear set that'll work in this, and then we'll get it all cleaned up, painted up, and back into the back end of Dodgey. Next, we were talking about drive shaft hoops, and the car already comes with one, already had one. If you can see it down here, already has one back to the back, just before the rear end. And I cut one out, actually, that was a little bit closer up, somewhere in this area here, that was attached to somewhere in this area here that was attached to a structure that was originally in this area. But we still have that. Still have that structure right here. And what's attached to it? A drive shaft tube. So one of two things I can do here. I can cut this hunk of steel off and weld it back in there where I want it. I think what I would rather do, though, is just like we did with the trans mount. I still have a bit of this material left, and I think with where I want to put it, we're going to have enough material to take this hoop off of this piece and put it on this piece. So this will be our new support for our drive shaft hoop. So we'll have that in, and then that will be done, and hopefully I can find a piece of plate steel or aluminum to fill this in, and then we can build something for a mount. That'll be our mount for our shifter. So we'll think about that in a minute here. I'm going to take a break. For right now, let's pause on Dodgey. Let's go to Hilde. Let's give her an oil change. I'll tell you guys, after doing that oil filter housing gasket that we did a couple weeks ago, the engine bay has never stayed this clean this long. And I've been driving the car quite a bit. I never realized how much that little bit of oil that was leaking out of there must have been dripping and just getting splattered up, and all the dust and everything just would stick to the car. But it's been about a month now. I've been driving the car quite a bit, and like, it feels really good. I think it was about time we do like one last nut and bolt on it. Make sure that all of the rear suspension and brakes, everything's tight on it, which I think it is. So I'm not really too worried about it. And then we'll be able to put all the panels and everything back into the trunk. I haven't put those back in yet because I'm going to shampoo them, clean them up really good, and then we can put them in one last time after we make sure everything's right and tight. So this will take about 15 minutes for me to change this oil out, so I'm just going to put the camera down and start that musical interlude right now. Okay guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. A little bit of discussion about the rear end and the rear gears and what we're going to need to do. We talked about the exhaust, a possible crossover pipe or a log manifold. Also we spoke about the intake manifold and possibly shaving it down. I think it's something that I might be interested in trying. And cut out that extra piece of rotten metal that I really wanted to get done. And we gave Hilde an oil change, which she always needs on the regular. So that felt good to get that done as well. So again guys, I wanted to give a big shout out to Amber for being a supporter and a loving member of the HowFast family. So thank you Amber, thank you for all your support. If you guys are interested in getting your hands on any t-shirts or vinyls or toolbox stickers, you can write to me at howfast10@gmail.com, or you can go to howfast.ca where you can pick them up there. If you do get one of those shirts or stickers or vinyls or magnets or anything like that, take a picture of it, send it to me. I'll feature you on the channel, show everyone yet another member of the HowFast family. So again guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you have anything to say, please comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. We'll catch up with you guys next time, find out how fast we can make this car go.